Adams front first. Do you think he should resign?
No.
No.
My view is that Mayor Adams, like every other New Yorker and every other American, is entitled to the presumption of innocence and entitled to a trial by a jury of his peers who will ultimately determine his fate within the legal system. At the same time, it's important for Mayor Adams to articulate to New Yorkers in a compelling way a plan and a path forward to ensure that the city is continuing to function and run in a manner that meets the needs of everyday New Yorkers and in a manner that New York City, which we believe is the greatest city in the world, deserves.
On the mayor
Sworn by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg and the City Department of Investigation. Sources say it involves the city's leasing of commercial properties and a number of officials, including Ingrid Lewis Martin, the mayor's chief advisor, who's been a confidant of his for decades. Prosecutors seized Lewis Martin's phones a few weeks ago when she returned from a trip to Japan with another person reportedly involved in the probe, a broker involved in city leases, Diana Boutros. Lewis Martin's lawyer, Arthur Aidala, told CBS News New York he was confident that his client's actions will be found to have met the highest legal standards. A City Hall spokesman said, quote, "We expect employees to follow all ethical guidelines." All this as the mayor is moving closer to naming a permanent replacement for embattled interim police commissioner Tom Donlin. 9 days after.
You can use the word embattled for everybody in the Adams administration. My goodness. There was a video, one of his top aides, they circulated that they had some function, looked like a party or something, some sort of function, and somebody was trying to record her on their cell phone, and she was not having it. I don't remember her name, neither party, but the aide to the mayor eventually snatched the phone from the woman and tossed it across the room. And she was like, "You better get her. You better get her." But that's the thing too. You cannot intimidate. Okay, so the administration is under investigation. The mayor's been indicted, and others have been indicted and have either quit or something. You can't go. I don't care if it's a public place or not. You cannot try and intimidate folks who work for the administration. Just can't. You can't do that. And again, this aide to the mayor, I can't remember her name. If you saw her face, you'll probably know it because you've probably seen her on television. But I was 100%, even though all the comments, they were going in on the aide to the mayor, I was 100% on her side. She's just there, trying to take in the event. And the lady is filming her in a very intimidating way too, like taunting her. And no, listen, if it came to blows, homegirl, the mayor's assistant there, probably would have taken her out. And so she was telling the officers there, you better get her. So she did everything in her power not to slap the taste out of her mouth. And I was there for it because I thought she was the individual filming was just crossing the line. You're there at a function. I think it was a fundraiser for something, or not a political fundraiser, but some sort of charitable function or whatever. So you're not there for that, and you're not a member of the media either. That's why everybody picks up a camera and think they're a member of the media. That's because the standards that we see on places like Fox News and CNN have just toileted, and everybody says, "Oh, if they can put this crap out, so can I." But the mayor is in trouble. But I really, really liked. I'm 1000% here with Hakeem Jeffries. And I, people say the mayor should resign. I love my AOC. She said he should resign. I disagree. I agree with Hakeem Jeffries. I 100% agree with Hakeem Jeffries. Why resign? Yeah, the once again, the premise of particularly, I'm going there, particularly for a black man, We have to return to the standard of innocent until proven guilty. We have to. We just have to. It's way out of control. Everybody's once an indictment comes in, an investigation is learned. Oh, yeah, he must have done it. Yep, he's guilty. Alec Baldwin went on trial in that Rust thing. I didn't hear none of the vitriol. Oh, he must be guilty. And I don't think Alec. Listen, very unpopular opinion. I don't think Alec Baldwin was guilty of anything there. But you didn't hear the nastiness. Oh, he must be guilty. You didn't hear him convicted before the trial. In fact, the prosecutors initially said we don't have enough evidence and we are dropping charges. And then some overzealous prosecutor, which there are more overzealous prosecutors than there are not. Some some overzealous prosecutor decided to prosecute him, and then the judge threw it out again, and it's over with. It's all over. But I agree with Hakeem. You got to allow for the process to run its course. You have to. And say what you want about Adams, his character, whatever. The guy, um, he is pres- presumed innocent. There are the charges, but he's presumed innocent. This idea that from Cyrus Vance that a mere allegation should result in a conviction is absolutely, it's the most absurd. It is a relic of Reconstruction and after slavery, Jim Crow. It's just it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So and plus, um, the fact is, he'd be foolish to resign. He's got leverage. We talked about leverage before in these positions. He's still a mayor until the end of to actually what January 2026. He's not winning re-election. We know that. So I mean, he's got a year plus worth of leverage. So um, he may be he may be a jerk. He may even be guilty. We don't know that. He may be a criminal, I should say. We don't know that. So, and folks are always gonna have a problem with how a politician is running, a mayor's running a city, a president is running the country. You're always gonna have a problem with it. That's why you have these races where it's 50%. This person's getting 50% of the vote. This person get 40. It's gonna be split. The RNG says he might be innocent, but they are going to fry him like a catfish in Mississippi, extra crispy. We got other things to talk about this morning, but I mean, look, I just wanted to make sure since we had that footage of particularly Hakeem Jeffries, we need to can that and put it on the shelf. David Youngblood. See, David, he should not resign. Plea deals are better when in office. That's right. And David had chimed in before on that. I think I solicited David's thoughts on that before too. Solicited the solicitor. We got the latest on Hurricane Milton this morning. We also this week there was a major milestone in the Kamala Harris's campaign. We gonna mention that this morning. And speaking of major milestones, there was a major milestone for an Omaha Star newspaper. We big ups to Terry Sanders. We're gonna tell you about that as well this morning. Diddy went to court yesterday, and the whole family was there. And they say he lost weight. Now, remember those reports earlier that he wasn't eating. He was afraid to eat. He had, of course, denied that. But Mike V says the tangerine tyrant. We haven't seen the nicknames lately for the for the orange man. The tangerine tyrant has 34 convictions and was impeached twice, and folks want him to lead the country. Make it make sense. Did you see? Speaking of tangerine tyrant, did you see him uh, showed a picture of him announcing that his daughter Tiffany was pregnant, and his face. Oh, it looks like a catcher's mitt got sunburn. What happened to the guy? I think age has really, I mean, his speech, his cognitive abilities, and all that stuff, and now his appearance. I think age, has really caught up with him. I really do. I think Power 96 mentioned extra crispy when he talks about frying something like a catfish. This guy is extra fried, I think. Floridians are picking up the pieces after Hurricane Milton made landfall as a dangerous Category 3 hurricane and cut through the state as a Category 1 storm before moving offshore. The deadly impact now includes 16 people dead, and shucks, and this destruction is too much. It was like, wow, it could have been worse. The state is anticipating more casualties, according to state officials, and first responders say that they've rescued about 1,000 people as of last night. This was 1,000-year rainfall event. The storm dropped more than 18 inches of rain on St. Petersburg, which represents a more than 1 in 1,000-year rainfall event for that area. Uh, as we said yesterday, about 3 million customers are still without power. The third hurricane to hit Florida this year was Milton. This is the third this year, so they are really feeling it. Wind gusts of 100 miles per hour were recorded near Tampa. And as we reported yesterday, Tropicana Field, the home of the Tampa Bay Rays, the roof was ripped off, shredded, and Tropicana Field was actually going to be a makeshift shelter for first responders, but the storm decimated it. So the death toll by county: St. Lucie County had 6, Pinellas County 2 so far, Volusia County had 4, Citrus County 1, as well as Hillsborough County with 1, Polk County with 1, and Orange County with 1. Rescue operations include nearly 1,000 people, as we said, been rescued, with thousands of personnel deployed across the state. In one dramatic rescue, a news crew saved a single mother and her 4 children who were trapped in floodwaters for 7 hours. Yeah, Austin, that was my thing too. Austin says, imagine coming across alligators and snakes. The Coast Guard reopened some ports following the hurricane, including Key West and Port Miami in Florida, as well as several ports in Georgia and South Carolina. Numerous ports in Florida, including St. Petersburg and Fort Myers, they remain closed. Um, Air travel, very, very minimum. Sarasota, Bradenton International Airport will remain closed today. Tampa International Airport plans to reopen today. It was they had suspended flights for 3 days there. And there's a boil water notice in St. Petersburg. City crews are working to repair 30 water line breaks caused by fallen trees. Drinking water has been restored, but the city remains under a boil notice. The CDC is urging, make sure you boil the water. Don't take any chances, the CDC is saying. They say it does remain safe, though, for hand washing and showering. There's a lake advisory in Orange County. They are urging residents to stay away from swimming in lakes and rivers because of high water levels and the potential for contamination. And of course, as Austin mentioned, displaced wildlife. and of course submerged structures. F- they'll need to apply now. The Florida residents need to apply for um, separate hurricane relief for each storm they were impacted by, even if they were hit by both Helene and Milton, according to the administrator of FEMA. Yesterday, we were able to talk with Eric Hooks, the deputy administrator. It's Friday, administrator at FEMA. And he told us, listen, we have the resources. We are there. He says you may not see everybody wearing a FEMA jacket, but we are there, and there's a lot of us there. He also hit out against this misinformation that's been going on, and that's what it has been. The bottom line is that this idea that they're not doing anything is ridiculous, or they're giving money to immigrants is ridiculous. And there's our discussion with Eric Hooks, the FEMA administrator, the deputy administrator at FEMA. Yes. So it was a milestone week for Vice President Kamala Harris. Thanks, Michelle Madison. She said that was a great interview with Eric Hooks. She says I watched the replay after work. And by the way, Michelle Madison, folks, check out her Michelle's Delicious Delights. She got a site. She says she is a fledgling content or struggling content creator, I should say, is how she put it. Um, so give her a like, follow her, check her out. Michelle's Delicious Delights. What's the Delicious Delights? What do you got? Cookies or something? Cakes? I want some Delicious Delights. Um, Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign operation hit a milestone across the $1 billion fundraising threshold just 2 months after she took over the Democratic Party standard bearer. According to two sources, it had reached the $1 billion mark. The figure includes money raised by the campaign committee itself and by a campaign affiliated joint fundraising committee that also collects cash for the Democratic National Committee and state parties. Wow, it's a staggering pace. Again, she had to jump into the race after Biden stepped away from it. And the staggering pace suggests that the vice president has been able to sustain enthusiasm among donors, large and small, as the campaign enters the final stretch before the November 5th election. But it comes at a time of a historic onslaught of outside spending from super PACs and other groups that has the Harris campaign a little concerned because especially with the direct mail, because Republicans have in that area opened a steep advantage in recent months. And on the ground with groups like Elon Musk's Super PAC and others working to turn out voters for the 34 times convicted former president. Um, and of course, presidential campaigns tend to take in more money as the election nears, but a clip of roughly $500 million a month is still unheard of. When Biden was running, his campaign raised a little bit more than 1 billion. This was in the 2020 election cycle. That was throughout the entire campaign. This is a 2-month effort by the vice president, and so it's at wow. It's just wow. It's eye opening, and you see all of these people, despite the crazy noise that we've heard surrounding her. You have so many A-listers supporting her as well, and most importantly, you have so many people on the ground, just everyday peoples, and listen, they feel like, and understandably so, they feel as if they don't support her. Their lives are on the line. And so she's gotten the groundswell of support, to say the least. RNG says President Barack Obama flamed Trump last night. It was great to watch. Um, yeah, Obama, of course, saved some of his best um, attacks for these campaign rallies for sure. Um, he's in Pennsylvania. He's been in Pennsylvania for the vice president. Mike V says Obama calling out folks in Pittsburgh last night, very much needed. Haven't seen that level of aggression in years. And this is what folks who support Democrats say. Where's the hammer? All of this go low, go high stuff. No, they said that's over with. That's been over with. And they've been urging their party to step up, show some backbone, show some fight. And that is apparently what the former president Barack Obama did in Pittsburgh last night. So, but $1 billion. Trump has raised about $309 million for his campaign. The problem with that is, he it might be going into Trump International, Trump bank account. They can give this guy money. He does whatever he wants. He look, so far he's been above the law. We talked about the 34 convictions and the other stuff. You hand him a check, it's going in his bank. Not the campaign.
Based on reports I'm getting from campaigns and communities, is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences, who's had to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land and is putting forward concrete proposals to directly address the things that are vital in our neighborhoods and our communities, from housing to making sure that our mothers and our fathers and our grandparents can afford medicine, and making sure that we are dealing with prices that are too high and rents that are too high, and are committed to making sure that we maintain the Affordable Care Act, so everybody's got health and cares about things like education and entrepreneurship in our neighborhoods. And that's on one side. And on the other side, you have someone who has consistently shown disregard, not just for the communities, but for you as a person. And you're thinking about sitting down? I'm not. But, because of Pookie might be. And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And I think anybody you are talking to in a barbershop, anybody you are talking to in your house, in your family, at church, who is coming with that kind of attitude, I think you have to ask them, well, how can that be? Because the women in our lives have been getting our backs this entire time. They've been raising us and working and having our backs. And when we get in trouble and the system's not working for us, they're the ones who are out there marching and protesting. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is, putting women down. That's not acceptable. That's not, this shouldn't even be a question.
So there's a couple of things. Well, I'm not sure, was he addressing that as to those in the room there, or because that there were cameras there and he felt or understood that it would go out everywhere, as it has, at least here, to let it be known. And the reason I say that is a couple of things. As Lauren Burke brings up, here we go again. This is a setup to scapegoat black men if she loses. I say that because that's where you have to take that type of message to those, not because those in that room, they're in that room because most likely because they support her. So you got to take that to, Killer Mike and people like him. You got to take that to Waka Flocka and folks like him, and really break it down like that, and then some. But that's the thing. So Lauren says that this is a setup to scapegoat black men if she loses. And so there's a school of thought that all of these, and most of us don't believe the polls, that these polls are suggesting that Trump has this support, this so robust support among black men, or whatever support it might be. I mean, that crazy Howard University poll, I don't believe that Howard University poll. I mean, I'm not trying to condemn a HBCU. I'm just talking about their polling. They joined up with the other organization to put a poll out that suggested like 25% or whatever black men are supporting Trump, which I find that very, very difficult to believe. But as Lauren is saying, I get what she's saying with that. And it does sometimes feel like that's what it is, just this setup to because we hear the rhetoric. We know there's so much disinformation out there. And she says, remember when they used to set up black voters in general right before the election? Now it's just black men. And Mike V says the black male voters question has been trending all week. I think he is responding to that. All those black men questioning VP Harris on social media started this. And Lauren says, where's the data and the evidence that black men aren't supporting her? Where? And that's the thing too. And and I think part of it, and certainly part of it, is this misinformation, intentional. intentional misinformation. Throw this out there because you do have a couple of prolific folks, like I said, Waka Flocka and Mike, Killer Mike, and folks like that who come out and say crazy stuff. And listen, black black folks gonna be blamed for everything. It's just the bottom line. She says that Vice President said when she was on Howard Stern, she says, quote, I've locked a lot of people up. She is running to the middle. Why? Voters see that. Yeah. And my thing on that again, um, is that when folks talk about crime and stuff like that, if you are destroying the community with drugs, if you are destroying the community with guns, gun violence, then you don't need to be in the community. It's as simple as that. And so for folks who want to, like Snoop Dogg, oh, Trump pardon Harry O, that's my man. Harry O was killing black people with his product. And that is again, you have to put stuff in its proper context. Um, the ONG says for every black man that will vote, not support Trump, it's a big difference. There are 10 black men voting for Kamala Harris. Mike V says, but when we hear that misinformation from brothers, we have to push back against it, even if it's just one brother. I say that speech would have been great or even greater if he talks directly to those. Go down to that where was it in Georgia where you had these black men for Trump. Go down there and talk to them directly. You see what happened with the head of the black men for Trump? They started calling him the N-word. The Trump people started harassing him, and he got locked up with Trump. Well, Trump didn't get locked up. He did. He was remember him, Harrison Floyd. He was the only one. They all got indicted with Trump. He was the only one left in jail. Trump came into the jail, fingerprinted, left, and left him behind. And then you have stuff like this at a Trump rally, beating the black man, the black Trump supporter up, the Trump folks. It's and the folk look how the young lady just casually is like, yeah, yeah, yep. This is she got her phone out there. This is par for the course. This is par for the course. The federal trial of Sean Puffy Diddy, P. Diddy, Puff Daddy Combs is scheduled to start on May 5th. A judge decided yesterday as he sets deadlines in the sex trafficking case against the bad boy. Federal prosecutor Emily Johnson said the government could take 3 weeks to present its case against Puffy, who pleaded not guilty last month to charges of sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. Puffy didn't look so puffy, they say. He lost some weight. I saw the sketch artist was horrible. That is the worst sketch artist ever in the history of sketch artists. Did you see the sketch of Diddy? That is not Diddy. I've seen a lot of great sketch artists in court. And as we see his family, including his twin daughters, leaving the court. But that sketch was horrible. I can't, if you saw the sketch, I mean, that is horrible. But apparently lost weight. I mean, I would imagine, locked up, you're gonna lose weight. There was, again, so they're not at this point allowing cameras in the courtroom, but again, misinformation. I wanted Lauren. I would imagine Lauren at some point you'll be in the courtroom, and this is I don't. Yeah, I don't want to hear anything Gloria Allred has to say. And this joke, it's a joke. It becomes a joke. This is too serious of a situation to have it just dirtied up and joked up when you bring in a character like this. I mean, the epitome of an ambulance chaser. But because it just devalues it takes away from any true victim. I don't believe they say I'm gonna say this. It's only about Gloria Allred clients and Lisa Bloom clients. I don't believe any Gloria Allred or Lisa Bloom client. I don't. I don't. There may be a dozen other victims out there. I don't think her clients are victims. I think she has a school for this stuff, particularly when it comes to black men in power. Don't believe anything Gloria Allred puts forth. I had a conversation with Gloria Allred. The last time I spoke to her, I had several conversations. The last time I spoke to her was during the Bill Cosby trial. But she just, it's one thing that when we see police doing what they do to black folks, and Ben Crump shows up to try and bring justice, right? That's uh, he is going to Ben Crump is going to benefit, sure, when there's a settlement, but but everybody else benefits because he highlights, spotlights this institutional racism that continues to go on with the police department around the country, law enforcement around the country. Nobody except Gloria Allred benefits. She puts these women up. She teaches them how to cry on command. It's like, where does she go? I mean, she goes into the deepest, darkest alleys and valleys and mud holes to find these people. I am not feeling any client of. I'm sorry, you sign with Gloria Allred, then I don't believe you, and so that might be a me problem. But the length of Diddy's trial, no, I did not take a picture with Gloria Allred. I don't know if Getty may have gotten pictures of us talking. They certainly got pictures of me and Cosby talking, and it just set off some folks. Uh, but I won't get into that. Um, yeah, she never goes to trial, David. That's her deal. It's okay, this guy's in major trouble. He doesn't want any more aggravation. Let me go grab somebody, grab some folks, make some allegations, get paid, get settled, because he's gonna settle it. The length of Diddy's trial, however, his attorney said their case will last a week. Um, prosecutor said 3 weeks, but the bombshell in court yesterday was that the prosecutor told the judge the length of the trial might very well change because we are working on a superseding indictment. They are going to bring more charges against Diddy. And this is the thing. Now, again, what we do know is that this man viciously beat Cassie Ventura. And he certainly, if not for anything else, because the other charges, listen, I don't know how they got to this point with sex trafficking. But he certainly needs to be imprisoned for what he did to Cassie. I don't care how much money he paid her. Like I said before, Cassie did exactly what I've always said and hope that victims can bring themselves to do, and that is get justice civilly and criminally. But did he? So I was saying about the misinformation too, and the disinformation. There's a report. One report I read said, "Oh, he looked like he was almost in tears or whatever in court," and then another report he was smiling, happy to see his family, winked at his daughters, stuff like that. So hopefully, like I said, Lauren, I'm sure Lauren's going to be in that courtroom at some point during the trial, and so we'll get some real information. But as it stands, May the 5th, Diddy will stand trial for the nonsense that his life has wrought. His way of living has brought him to this point. Whether he's and whether he didn't do all this stuff or not, the picture painted by those even fans, and I don't think he got many of those left, but those who know the man, those who work with the man, those who work for him, there he it's hard pressed to find anybody outside of his kids to say anything good about him. I mean, look, even his mother's statement. I mean, I know he's done some wrong, so she didn't say 100% good. You're hard pressed to find. You can't find. I have not found anybody, even the most folks who. So this is why one of the millions of reasons I appreciate people like Chuck D. Chuck is. I haven't seen him really comment. He made a draw. He made his drawings, but he hasn't really commented, and he's probably not ever going to comment on this, even after the verdicts or whatever. You probably won't hear a comment from him on this. But that's just it. Maybe he does not have a whole lot of good things to say, so he won't say it. So you have people like that who won't say anything, and they understandably so. But then you have those who just can't say anything good. At least they feel they can't say anything good. And then you have 50 Cent and people like 50 Cent who just go all in because they have looked evil in the eye and know that it is evil. What this man did to Cassie Ventura and probably other women is just awful. It's absolutely awful. But once again, I'm going to stick with my premise, and I'm totally excluding Cassie on this. That you got to be presumed innocent. You have to be presumed innocent. And we know, and he's had to own up to because of the video what he did to Cassie. So he's guilty of that. He's guilty of abuse and assault and battery and all that other stuff, and should go to jail for it. I mean, listen, that was brutal. It was hard to watch. I don't even know her, and it was hard to watch. But if you have a mother, if you have a wife, if you have a daughter, and as a man, if you didn't feel for Cassie, then you're not a man. Um, in North Omaha, the legacy of the Omaha Star lives on steadfastly through decades of change and challenge. Since 1938, Nebraska's only Black-owned newspaper has been a voice for the community, and now, under the leadership of Terry Sanders, is poised to become a national cultural landmark. She says the paper has been going for 87 years and we have never missed a publication day. So we can't start now. In a telephone conversation I had with Terry yesterday, she was beaming about the future of the Omaha Star. Of course, Terry is the mother of former vice presidential advisor and MSNBC news journalist Simone Sanders Townsend. She says she remains committed to preserving Omaha's beacon of Black journalism. The Star is part of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, of course, NNPA, which is the trade that represents the more than 200 African American newspapers and media companies across the country. Of course, we are commonly known as the Black Press of America. But since its inception, the Omaha Star has seen only 5 publishers, all Black women, which is a testament to the resilience and continuity that Terry proudly upholds. She took the reins almost resistantly, but with a sense of duty back in 2020, just as the pandemic disrupted everybody's life. She called it a trial by fire. But Terry is now, after taking over the paper, now she is creating a whole museum, and restoring the building there that Mildred Brown, the founder, had. And Mildred Brown's uh, sleeping quarters, her home, was also attached here. And they're refurbishing that. They're redoing that. And Terry's owning it all. And there's a park she owns now, all a part of the Omaha Stars complex there. And the park will have a Omaha, Nebraska Walk of Fame. And Kathy Hughes, if you see, will have a star. It's like the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She'll have a star on the Walk of Fame there. And others who Terry says has either lived in and or contributed to the Black community in Omaha and journalism there in Nebraska. It's amazing story. We wrote about it. It's on blackpressusa.com to see the full story. There will be a Mildred Brown memorial there. Again, Mildred Brown was the founder, the original publisher of the Omaha Star. There's Terry proudly wearing her NMPA pin. And Terry is one of the publishers who she's one of those publishers that you can't help but to like. Can't She loves her Omaha. She loves Nebraska. She's one of two Black people in Nebraska. I'm kidding. She said that so she's in the north side there, where it's she says about 50 plus thousand Black folks live on that side. And she 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 is a very hilarious person and don't even know how funny she is. She she says she envisions a space that honors Black journalists. She's going to train. That's one of the things she's going to do there with the refurbished and redone um, complex. Really, she's going to use the offices to train young Black journalists. They're going to have a space. The museum's going to feature historic exhibits. She's going to preserve all of the great stuff that Mildred Brown had. The strolling park is what, and there's some great pictures, that history there. That strolling the Mildred Brown strolling park is what she calls the park there. Will include that Walk of Fame. Um, Father John Marco, who was instrumental in Omaha's integration efforts, will also have a star on the Walk of Fame there. And also there will be a historical marker dedicated to the Omaha Deporters Club, which is a civil rights group that Marco led in close partnership with the Omaha Star. And also, here's the other thing. So you have to applaud this, folks. There are only 2 Black contractors in Nebraska, and and the 2 contractors are women, and that's who Terry has hired. they also specialize in historic buildings. So they're the ones she's hired to preserve the building's historic character while transforming it into a space that will educate and inspire future generations. She says it's symbolic that we're the only Black women-led publication in Nebraska, and now we're working with the state's only 2 Black women contractors. She says it's come full circle. It's a massive $3 million project, but Terry has worked diligently to get grants and other funding to make this thing happen. It shows you that it can happen, folks. And so, Power 96 says 50K Black in Nebraska. I learned something every day. I went to college World Series years ago, and I thought I was the only Black person in the state. No, you got Terry and you got 50,000 others. You remember, do you remember who is from Nebraska? One of their more famous citizens? None other than a guy they used to call Red, Malcolm Little, Malcolm X. Malcolm X. And so they Terry is really doing, and this is not the only time that she has tried to bring or really bring a spotlight on Omaha and its history. You'd be surprised when you talk to Terry and you start learning more of the history of Black Omaha and Black Nebraska. It surprised me, that's for sure. The museum is expected to open next year, and she says she sees a bright, bright future for the star and a legacy that will resonate far beyond Omaha. Terry says it's going to be a national treasure, not just for Omaha. So this is great, and it's again, I think that it certainly will. One of the many, many, many things it'll do is motivate other Black owned newspapers in this NMPA family. It'll motivate. I believe it will serve as a motivational tool for them to try and do likewise because there's so much history um, when it comes to Black owned newspapers. So much history. And we know everybody's pretty much online now. Terry stopped putting papers in the on the streets. What do you call them? Those bins or whatever. A couple of years ago. But every Black newspaper has a story. Everyone. And Terry's here to tell you about the Omaha Star. That's going to be fantastic. The Washington Forum is celebrating 60 years this year. Misha, she said yesterday that there will be a year-long celebration beginning in 2025. Obviously, they're going to honor the anniversary next month, but the year-long celebration will take place there. Yep. And please, as Mike V, hit the like button on the Omaha Star. Hit the like button here too. um, so lots of stories there, and it's just one of the 2.5 trillion reasons we think you should stick with the Black press and find out more about the Black press of America. Gabrielle Union is from Nebraska, and in all caps, he Power 96 is acting like he's Donald Trump. He's writing in all caps. Oh wow. Yeah, Gabrielle Union is from Nebraska. You'd be surprised. The history of Nebraska. And the one person to tell it, the one entity to tell it, Terry Sanders and the Omaha Star. I don't see it. Maria's telling me to check something out, um, but nonetheless, folks, it's Friday. It's the weekend. I don't know that I have such a great weekend planned. What do y'all got planned? I hope whatever it is, it's gonna be fun. Or as James Brown said, whatever it is, it's got to be funky. And we'll see you on Monday. Thanks for watching. Let it be known.